Viroligence, Intelligent COVID-19 Risk Assessment. Who are we? We are a team of two highly motivated and educated individuals who want to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. But of course, we cannot do this alone. We do this together with and for the Israeli population. What is the problem? Well, the problem is not us, but we experience this problem because we work at the Weizmann Institute and are in close interaction with clinicians who actually treat patients in the hospital and who face the following dilemma. The number of infected individuals exceeds the number of available hospital beds. So how to assess the risk of these patients to develop a severe disease and to give priority to people at high risk? This is a non-trivial task, but again, we are at the Weizmann Institute of Science, and the labs we are working in of Professor Ido Amit and Professor Eran Linav developed an automated testing pipeline that allows us to sample and many patients per day and evaluate these samples in an automated manner. So we really understood that once we know for sure who is infected, to also assess the risk to assign hospital beds to the ones who need it the most. So here is how we approach this. First of all, we generated a comprehensive data set of 10,000 cases where we not only implemented Israeli demographics information, but also health records. The way this looks like is we generated, based on current data, distribution of the Israeli age in the population and also the body mass index. And in addition, also from current data, all available at the GitHub page, we sampled corona mortality distributed among different age groups from real-life data, as I said. And this allowed us to train a model. And the risk that we predict per patient correlates with more than 99% with the actually observed risk that we find in these patients. And if we look at the performance of this algorithm in this receiver-operator curve, then we see that if we, for instance, take into account the age as a determining factor for mortality, then the sensitivity and the specificity of our algorithm is very high, whereas if we neglect, for instance, the age information in the yellow curve, then the performance of this algorithm is close to a random predictor, close to the diagonal line, and therefore not very helpful. But how does this algorithm help clinicians? Well, the clinicians, of course, they meet patients, and then they insert all this information that they get from the patient into our Viroligence app, which then calculates the risk and assigns the risk to the patient so the doctor knows whether this patient has to be given a hospital bed in priority or not. So how does the app look like? Here you see the seamless design of our app. It's very handy. It can be operated intuitively, and checking in a new patient for the doctor at the bedside will take less than 1 minute. So how do we envision this to work? Well, first of all, we want to implement and test more data and different models. Here you see, for instance, a sharp model of risk, where you see the different metadata that we are collecting, and every feature in this case is assigned a certain risk, and this will allow us more precisely also to determine the information that need to be recorded by the clinician. And as I said, since we are working at the Weizmann Institute of Science, we can then basically leave our app right to the clinicians who are in charge of seeing and treating these patients. So ideally, what happens is we still have the increasing number of patients in need and the limited number of hospital beds, but with the Viroligence app, we can now assign the hospital beds to people who need it the most. Thank you very much.